In this episode, my glutes, my lats, my abs, and my traps. And my crack.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 217 of the Daily Mother Swole. And if you back up enough, if we keep this angle, you'll always be able to admire the double bicep, the front double bicep. Bing! Yeah. Episode 217, all about the traps. This is the shit that you don't know about. So let's get some more people in here. If you know anyone that loves the fitness, if you're friends with a lot of people in the fitness community, it's your duty, your absolute duty to share this broadcast so they can hear what I have to say about the traps today. So let's discuss the traps. Let's break down the traps a little bit right now, what they are. The traps go from the base of your skull, actually, the occipital protuberance right here at the bottom bump on the back of your skull, and goes all the way down to T12. That's the last thoracic vertebrae in your spine. That's a huge muscle. It's trapezoid in shape, which is why it's called a trapezius. But there's three parts. So what people mostly don't know is that the traps are not up here. The traps just don't do shrugs. That's one part of the traps, and that's the reason why people usually have trouble with the traps, because you only do shrugs and then it becomes imbalanced. So you have the upper trapezius, you have the middle trapezius, and you have the lower trapezius. And I get a lot of people asking me all the time, do I do shrugs? How often do I do shrugs? I rarely do shrugs because the upper traps get so much work holding things, driving a car, being at the computer. They get worked so much already. You need to start working on the balance more often than not, working on the middle and lower trapezius. The trapezius is part of a muscle group or an area of muscles that are part of the shoulder girdle. Now, there's two parts of the shoulder. There's the joint and then there's the girdle. So they're muscles that attach from the skeleton, the axial skeleton being the spine, being the ribs, being any part that's not the arm, and attaches onto the scapula. So you have muscles that anchor the scapula, the shoulder blade, and then you have muscles that go from the shoulder blade and go from other parts of the body of the axial skeleton to the arm, the humerus. So you have muscles that cross the humerus and cross onto the arm, and you have muscles that attach onto the scapula. So you have things that hold on to two parts. The reason why you have the shoulder girdle, the reason why you have the scapula as one part and the shoulder joint as the other part, because if you had one joint that did every part of the movement, you'd have too much mobility and you would lose too much stability in the shoulder. So you would just throw the joint out all the time. The muscles would rip all the time. You would dislocate all the time. If you have too much mobility at a joint, you're going to have too much instability. So there's this scale. There's this seesaw effect that you need to have mobility, but you sacrifice stability. And if you have too much stability, you sacrifice mobility. So you need to have this nice little blend all over the body. And usually the joints alternate. You'll have a stable knee joint and then a mobile hip joint, and then a stable lower back joint and then a mobile thoracic joint, and then, and so forth. So you usually have alternating joints so your body can get a lot of movement, but maintain as much stability as possible so you don't just rip yourself apart all the time every time you move. So this is a lot of it's hardcore kinesiology, but just stay with me if you have any questions. We're going to continue that after in premium. When you are activating these girdle muscles, super important because the girdle should be very stable. The shoulder joint or the scapula doesn't have a huge range of movement. You're going to get a lot of that movement from the actual joint itself in the socket with the humerus, and that's fine. But that being the case, the girdle has to be stable so you can enact force through the humerus, so you can enact force through the arm, meaning doing bench pressing, doing a pull-up. You need to be able to activate that stability in those stabilizer muscles. So you need your upper, middle, and lower trapezius to be not only be balanced, but to be activated. So, again, brief intermission. Thank you for joining me live on Facebook. Thank you for watching on YouTube. And thank you also for listening on SoundCloud and iTunes. So if you missed any part of this broadcast thus far, you can replay it right here on Facebook. You can also jump on the podcast and give it a listen. Going back to the upper, middle, and lower trapezius, you have the upper trapezius, which does this elevation movement and shrugs up, and also does movements such as upward rotation. It helps allow the body to move the arm upwards. The middle trapezius, which is right in the middle, goes more on a horizontal angle, pulls the shoulder blades back, and also aids with depression when you're pulling your arm down, as like the downward movement of a pull-up, for example. So it pinches the shoulder blades back and together, and that's very important because people are usually rounded and shrugged forward. And then the lower trapezius, which is the most important one, in my opinion, because it balances out, the big problems with shrugging the shoulders up and becoming very elevated and tense in the upper neck. It balances out the upper trapezius, and it will help actually. The lower trapezius pulling downward from the bottom part of your scapula will actually help you raise your arm up and help depress the scapula and pull the shoulders back down. So it's kind of like unrolling the fruit roll up that your upper traps really activate. And when you have this imbalance, when you have repetitive movement patterns, when you're sitting in the car a lot, when you're sitting at a desk a lot, you're going to have issues where those upper traps get really tight. And it creates imbalances in your neck positioning. It creates more tension in your neck, and a lot of you have migraines and chronic headaches and neck pain. If your upper traps are imbalanced and they're too activated and they're too tight because they're not being balanced out by the lower traps, by other muscles, what you're going to get is a lot of pulling on the occipital lobe. And if you know anything about the brain or the muscles or the areas of the head, the back of the head is what does vision. So a lot of you, when you get those headaches, those pounding headaches behind your ears or behind your eyes, it's because you have tension in your occipital lobe and those muscles back here that are causing tension and causing pain. And you'll feel it kind of like behind your eyes because that's the vision area of your brain, of your skull. So a lot of these things like migraine headaches, chronic headaches, relate to dehydration, relate to muscle imbalances. But going to a masseuse and just getting a massage, a lot of times people will just go, or you'll go and you'll get, my neck's really bothering me, I'm really tight. They go and get a massage. It feels good momentarily. It feels, oh my God, I feel so good. Then they leave and it comes right back. And the reason is because you're not fixing the problem. So right now, let's see, we got all angles. I want to talk about all angles. Oh, before I wrap this up, the traps work in different angles. So you're going to have to hit the lower a certain way, the middle a certain way, and the upper. And if you're trying to create more of that balance, you need to isolate the lower. You need to isolate the middle. And the reason why you'll get a massage, you'll feel good, and then the pain comes right back is because you're not fixing the problem. You're putting a Band-Aid. You're taking a Tylenol, so to speak, and then it'll go away. But then the imbalance, the movement patterns, what you normally do during the day is still a problem. You're still doing the wrong things. You're still doing what hurts you. And it'll come right back because you haven't changed your pattern of movement. You haven't changed your habits. So until you change your habits and start doing more corrective exercise to balance out the really overactivated upper trapezius, you're not going to see any real long-term difference or long-term change. So right now, I'm going to go over into premium. Those of you that are premium members, I'll see you there. We're going to continue this conversation in premium. I'm going to go over exercises that you should be doing to alleviate that neck pain in your upper trapezius, in your neck, if you have those migraines or if you have chronic neck pain. I'm also going to go over a couple exercises and what you need to do to activate specifically the middle and the lower trapezius. So if you need access to my premium page, my accountability group, my exclusive video group, you can access that at the top of my Facebook page. You click the sign up button, $9.99 a month. Very, very, very great information. All this stuff that I talk about in the Daily Swole, how you apply it to your daily life today, because it's a lot of information, it's a lot to swallow, but how are you going to make this a part of your lifestyle now to improve and get closer to your goals? So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Premium. You can also access it directly on my website, Swolenormous.com. Also, you got a pinned post at the top for Swolenormous gear. Campaign still going for another week or so make sure you jump on that if you want your tees, sweats, stickers, tanks, all that great stuff, different colors. Check it out on that link at the top of the page. And it's Flex Friday. So if you're training your traps today, enjoy, good luck. Make sure you're focusing on the middle and lower trapezius. If you don't know what the hell those are and you need to learn exercises for them, stay tuned. In about 2 to 3 minutes, I will be live in premium. So thank you for joining me for episode 217 of the Daily Mother Swole. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm spent. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for checking me out here live on Facebook. Make sure you share this post for anyone that needs to know a little bit more about the traps. And wow, there's more than one part. There's all the way down my back. Yeah, they're huge muscles and they need to be worked properly. And also, thank you for listening on SoundCloud and iTunes. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time. Later.